We've come a long way in the arcade 2D action genre, and to be honest, games like Metal Slug and Double Dragon took plenty of my quarters growing up, but it never stopped me from playing. Now, things are a bit different, but developers seem to have honed in on what makes this genre so fun and addicting. One developer who got things incredibly right is Easy Trigger Games and their newest title, Huntdown. This action-packed presentation of explosion, death, and mayhem accumulates into one of the most over-the-top adventures that I couldn't put down. Huntdown doesn't waste too much time throwing you in the action, but it also isn't afraid to set up a narrative. Players assume the role of one of 3 bounty hunters who are tasked with cleaning up the streets of a corrupted city. As silly as it sounds, these characters take their jobs and the situation extremely seriously. The game seems to borrow elements of action movies from the 80s as a reference to not only the dialogue, but also a few set pieces as well. Each level consists of a handful of stages that end with the boss. The levels are themed differently depending on the gang you are fighting. There's no holding back here. You'll be fighting against some of the most insane gangsters that I've ever encountered. What this does is limit the repetitious gameplay elements since the enemies are constantly changing. Yes, the game does become difficult, but after a while your skills also improve to make you a gangster killing machine. Each character has a different default gun that has unlimited ammo and a secondary throwing weapon. However, they each handle relatively the same. During stages, movements will keep you alive and the game's responsive controls allow you to take advantage of the character's skills to take minimal damage. Actions include sliding, taking cover behind objects, melee, and using whatever tools the environment provides for you to make it out alive. It's a rush, and dying comes naturally within the first hour of gameplay, up until the very last. However, the developers are incredibly generous with their checkpoints that take on the form of mobile hospitals. I don't like to gush about game design too much, but the level design in Huntdown deserves it. The team has done some amazing things with their backgrounds and environments that make you want to slow down and just take it all in. Each level is full of cyberpunk aesthetic and oozing with amazing 16-bit craftsmanship. However, the moment you try to wipe the drool off your face, dozens of enemies will come rushing in for your head. There's a level of difficulty within the game, but it isn't unmanageable. There are several grunt enemies that will constantly appear, but there are enough unique enemies that fit the theme of the levels. There are also secrets within the stages that encourage you to return to levels to find things like briefcases. However, these aren't just found in hidden walls, as the game also likes to do interesting things by having some briefcases held by an escaping enemy. There are some secret areas that give you access to powerful weapons, and also include some clever Easter eggs that cyberpunk fans will catch easily. It's all about weapons and huntdowns, and these can be found scattered throughout the ground, but aside from your default gun, only one weapon can be held at a time. This forces you to make a decision and be conscious with your ammo. There are a ton of different weapons to come across, and the moment you think you found your favorite, the developer will throw a new gun your way to use to mow down enemies. There are also a variety of different explosive weapons that can be found, such as grenades and C4. There is a co-op mode available that only makes the experience better. The game retains its difficulty even with the addition of a new player. The developer has even included the option for players to locally drop in and out at any time. As an added bonus, you can revive your partner if they fall. One minor issue with the game is that it's easy to lose your character during some of the more intense fights. This happened a lot more during co-op mode because the characters don't easily stand out in the heat of it all. Another thing would be that there are so many bosses that some are just way easier than others even in the later levels. I think the scale of difficulty on these bosses just seems a little off. Regardless, they're all fun as hell to fight against, and I'll happily play through the entire game again to take them down. I have to also bring up the sound design, as the game does feature voice audio. To fit the overall themes, characters say some of the most ridiculous things during combat that either sounds badass for the hell of it or references old action films. Each character plays into their macho personality and makes the game even more fun to experience. This level of quality also finds its way into the soundtrack, which is wildly enjoyable to listen to.
Tonight, we will gladly go out in the field of battle, and we shall move, rule, and do everything we can do. And we will reach our field of battle by any means at our disposal.
Huntdown takes you back to the days of classic arcade 2D action, but utilizes modern tools to perfect the genre. From the beginning to the end, this game is an absolute thrill, and I couldn't put it down. The attention to detail in the environments and the ever-changing rollout of enemies play a huge part in keeping each moment of the gameplay fresh, with a high level of intensity. You might lose track of your character once or twice in the carnage and die, but that just means you get to go back to the nearest checkpoint to destroy everything again. Noisy Pixel is giving Huntdown a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Please read the full review on NoisyPixel.net. NoisyPixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.